excited for this adventure coming our way? Probably excited, scared. That's okay, that's all normal. I'm a teacher at North High School. First year I'm not actually teaching over there. And love what I do now. Coaching families and kids on how to best prepare for college. Anyway, that's a little information about myself. Our back office partner, the College Planning Network, some of the things that they've been doing this for 20 years. Been in business a long time. We've partnered with them. We've got some award letters that we're going to talk about tonight. It says RIT on the front and Vanderbilt on the back. Okay, so set that aside. We're going to reference that as we're going. You've got a list of our services. We're not associated with Main Source Bank anyway. We're really appreciative of them actually letting us use this room as a free service to the community. But there's a list of services, so we're separate from Main Source of what we actually provide for our clients. FastWeb. FastWeb is a great free resource. This is just a little printout of some articles that they do. They keep you updated on scholarships. It's a free scholarship search tool. And if your student goes on there and fills out a profile, just information about them, they'll help you find some scholarships. So it's a free resource. So check that out when you get home. On the back is your notes page. Feel free to take notes as we're going. I'm going to cover a lot of information in about an hour. So we're going to go pretty quick. Jot down your questions. I'll take questions at the end. With this small of a group, you can just come up one-on-one and I'll talk to you one-on-one about any questions you have at the end. I'll be happy to hang around for about 15 minutes to answer your questions, okay? So jot them down. We won't really pause throughout the presentation. Chances are I'll probably answer it as we're going. You probably have 15 or 20 questions right now. I'm probably going to answer a lot of those as we're going, but anything I don't cover, go ahead and jot that down on your notes, and we'll get that at the end. Okay, you've got a green paper and a blue paper, okay? Your blue paper is our feedback form. We track what our clients want to know about. What are the most pressing concerns? What did you find valuable from this workshop? And what would you like us to cover more next time? And then at the bottom you'll see if you're interested in a free consultation, it's a 1-hour consultation, you can take advantage of that at the end. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to cover tonight is general, so if you're interested in something specific, that's when we can cover that in the free consultation. And that's what that green paper's for, to prepare you for that. So if you're interested in that free consultation, we'll talk about that later on as we get going. Okay? All right. Let's get started. It's an exciting time, guys. Your kids are getting ready to go. You're probably full of all kinds of emotions at this stage, which is awesome, which is what you should be. Our mission for our clients. So we work with families all throughout the Indianapolis area. Our home base is here in Columbus, though. This is where I'm from. This is where my partner Mitch is from. But we work all throughout Indianapolis. And our mission really comes down to 4 things. When we're working with a family, we want to do these 4 things for them. Get your kids in the best school possible. Well, what does that mean? Well, that's different for every family. Whatever your ambitions, your goals are, get your kids in the best school possible. Number 2, pay the least amount for it. We want to make sure you're not overpaying. No one wants to overpay for college. Okay? Make sure you do this without ruining your retirements or changing your lifestyle. I have seen some parents do some crazy stuff for their kids. We got to make sure that we don't do that in the process. And make sure you don't go broke. Make sure that that's in place all the way through. That's basically what we do. Okay, free consultation. We'll talk more about that later on if you're interested in finding that out. Really, one of 3 things happens in our free consultations. First, we get a lot of people who just want more free information. They're not really interested in hiring us, which is fine. We're happy to still give that to you. We limit it to an hour, but that's one thing that could happen. If you're interested in just more information, we're there. Why do we like to do that? Because we want you to tell your friends about us and spread the word. So we're happy to give you that free consultation if that's what you're interested in. Number 2, if you're interested in taking on some of our services, you've got a big packet of everything we provide. Some people like to pick and choose what they want. We provide that. And then the third thing is just to take it off your hands. If you would like a comprehensive package all the way through, that's what we provide. Anyway, I'll talk more about our free consultation as we're going. Parents' biggest concerns. We track this. What are parents' biggest concerns in college planning and college funding process? Missing deadlines. There are some important deadlines out there. I talked to a lady in Greenwood, and she filled out her FAFSA, submitted it online 2 hours too late. Do you know what happened that year? No financial aid, none. There are some very important deadlines. Even though she qualified for it, she couldn't get it just because she didn't get it done in time. So there are some very important deadlines. We're going to talk about that tonight. Making mistakes. People are worried about making mistakes. And there are some critical mistakes that we want to make sure you don't make. Developing a plan to pay for college. After all the scholarships have come in, all the aids come in, we've maximized that. How are we going to pay our fair share? What's the best way to do that? Lacking time to do everything that's involved. I'm sure you have plenty of time to do all this, right? I'm going to talk about areas where you want to focus. There are certain efforts or certain activities that are going to really give you a strong return on your time for how much money you can get, and other areas that won't. So I'm going to help you zone in on that. Doing something that will hurt their child's chances to get in. Parents are worried about that. Curriculum strength, grades, class rank, SAT, ACT, all of that needs to be positioned correctly, and it needs to match. That way we can maximize how much aid we're going to get. I'm going to talk about that. Actions that will cause them not to get the most financial aid. There's 128 tax laws that determine how much aid your family gets. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight, how to maximize that aid. Your kids have concerns as well. Did you know that? Have you talked about their concerns yet? These are the top three. These are the top three that usually emerge. Which college do I choose? Well, how many colleges do your kids even know about? Anybody have an idea how many colleges are out there? Well, I don't even know them all. There are so many out there. Which ones give more free money, less loans? Okay? We'll talk about that. What am I going to major in? Have you asked your kids that? What are you going to do? What are you going to major in? Even as early as middle school, we're asking our kids that. And how many careers do your kids even know about? They don't even really know, but kids are concerned about that. So be aware as you're talking to them. Will going to college hurt mom and dad financially? Do they care about money? Some people are like, no, some people are like, yes. Your kids, they probably don't know the ins and outs of the family budget, but they have a sense for how the family's doing financially. They hear you guys talk back and forth. They know that college is a big deal. Now, they don't necessarily appreciate how big of a bill it is, but they know it's expensive, and kids are concerned about that. Our mission for our clients is to relieve all these concerns, both for students and parents, and come up with a plan to do it in the very best way possible. College costs are skyrocketing. That's why you're here, right? Have you looked at the cost recently? When we talk about cost of attendance, if you didn't know this, you want to remember this or jot this down. Cost of attendance includes tuition, room and board, meal plans, living expenses. This is what the college and university, they say that themselves. They put it on their website. That's what they determine 1 year of attendance is going to cost. 4 years right now costs anywhere from $80,000 to $200,000 just for a 4-year degree. How many kids do you have? I have 4. None of them are college age yet, but they overlap. Our year's going to overlap. I'm going to talk about that, how to plan for that. Why has it gotten to this price? Well, it's going up by 4 to 8% per year. Indiana University from 1987 to 2014 went up 6.55% each year on average, each year. There's certain things that they're doing to slow it down, but it's not anywhere in the near future. We got to build a plan for how we're going to pay for this. Here's some costs of current colleges. Indiana University right now, $24,418. That's with the in-state tuition discounts. Now remember, this is cost of attendance. Everything's included in that. Okay? If you're out of state, maybe some of you are looking to go out of state. We're helping a girl get into Texas A&M for riding school. She rides horses and she wants to do that. She has to pay out-of-state tuition cost. Indiana University right now, $47,270 for just 1 year for out-of-state. So be aware that if you're looking out-of-state, expect that to be more. Purdue, $23,002. Private schools are more expensive, right? DePauw, $44,380. Rose-Hulman, great school, $58,800 for just 1 year of school. Now, what I'm going to teach you tonight is fascinating. Even though these private schools have a higher retail price tag, there's a lot of things you can do to bring that price down pretty quickly. I'm going to show you some of that. Butler, Northwestern, Notre Dame. It's gone up fast. That's why we're here. 4 years right now, $80,000 to $225, just depends on what school you're looking for. How long does it take the average student to graduate? Right now, it's 5.8 years. It's taking us 5.8 years to get a 4-year degree. Does that bother anybody? What's it going to do to your price of college overall? It's going to increase that. Make sure that you are not part of that statistic. And there's a lot of reasons why. In fact, let's look at a few. Why is it so expensive? And why is it taking us longer to get a 4-year degree? Decreasing governmental aid. We're seeing that all over the place. For example, here in Indiana we had a great program, 21st Century Scholars, a great state program. In fact, if you have a senior right now, maybe you have seniors right now, okay, if they qualify for the 21st Century Scholar, you want to research that right now. This senior group is the last one that might qualify. I've seen some that haven't. Might qualify under the old rules, which is not need-based. And you could get full tuition if you've met all the requirements. So you want to research that. But that's gone away for the rest of us. And now it's all need-based. It's kind of need-based. It's much less attractive, or maybe a couple $1,000. Well, a couple $1,000 when we're faced with bills of $25,000 per year is just a drop in the bucket. So we see decreasing governmental aid, rising costs of maintenance and infrastructure. And have you done some college visits? Have you been on campus? You need to do those. They're nice. They've upgraded everything. There's Wi-Fi everywhere and flat screen TVs and meal plans. Your kids can get comfortable really quickly if you're not careful. That might be part of the reason why it's taking 6 years. Be aware of that. Changes in technology. We see a lot of technology fees added on to the cost of attendance. Increasing staff's salaries and maintaining or establishing prestige. It's a little bit frustrating that it's gotten this expensive, but it has. So we got to build a plan for how we can do this in the best way possible. It doesn't have to be this way. I'll throw these in every now and again, where, he's got a degree, but mom and dad. What is the best way to pay for college? Well, really it comes down to these options. Maybe you have savings set aside. Maybe you have a 529, money market account, some kind of CD, some money set aside somewhere to pay for college. If you don't have the money set aside, you're going to have to borrow. Borrow the money from somewhere. There's all kinds of loans. There's good loans, bad ones. I'm going to talk about that. Third-party scholarships. Maybe you can get some scholarships. I'm sure you've heard about all these great scholarships that are out there. I'm going to talk about that. Go to a less expensive school. That's an option. In fact, it's an option for a lot of our clients where we build a plan, if that's what they want to do. If not, that's fine. We build a plan. Whatever school is best for them. Not go at all. Financial aid. How can we make sure we're getting our fair share of financial aid? That's a big piece of what I'm going to talk about tonight. Savings. If we do have savings set aside, did you know you can be penalized for that? Most people don't know that. And it's fascinating the way our system works. I'm going to talk about a lot of backwards processes in this college funding road that we're about to go down. Savings is one of them. Depending on where your money is, it can penalize you in the financial aid formulas. In other words, if you've been saving all your life for college, you've been preparing, you will get less aid if you're not correctly positioned for that. Because they're going to see those assets and they're going to offer you less money in the process. That's one of the things we talk about in our free consultation. We look at where you're at, what have you done to prepare, are you in a position to overpay? Are there any strategies you can take advantage of so you don't overpay? That's one of the things we cover in that free consultation. We typically see about 10% of parents who attend these workshops have saved the money, they're ready to pay for college, bless you, and 90% of us have got to borrow something from somewhere. And that's where loans come in. If you've never heard of these terms, you want to jot them down as we're going. Pell Grants and loans. Pell Grants, that's a federal program. It's money you do not have to pay back. It's a grant. If you can qualify for it, need-based, it's a great program to take advantage of. 2014-15 year, it was up to $5,730 per year. They'll change it. They increase it every now and again, how much you can get. Excuse me. But if you can take advantage of a Pell Grant, you want to. Stafford loans. Stafford loans. If we're considering loans as an option, this is the first place we want to start. These are one of the better loan options you have. It's pretty much the only loan that your student can qualify for without you having to co-sign with them. It varies each year how much you're going to get, but it's subsidized. The subsidized portion is like 4.5 years, same as cash. So you don't have to make any payments, and on the subsidized portion, there's no interest until 6 months after your student graduates. So it's a great option to take advantage of when we're thinking about loans. That's where we want to start. We can also take a look at the Perkins loans. $5,500 per year, 5% interest rates, subsidized till 9 months or half enrollment. Now this is a key piece of information you want to remember. We got to understand how these loans work. Because if we drop below half enrollment on a Perkins loan, what's going to happen? It's going to kick in. We're going to have to start making payments, interest, and all that. So families that haven't prepared for that, well, let's take half a semester this, or let's just take a quarter, we're going to work a lot and save up more money while all of a sudden their loans are kicking in. So we've got to have a plan throughout this process. Awarded by the college. Some colleges have more to give. This is a critical piece of information I'm going to cover tonight. All these loans, all the money that you're going to see is channeled through the colleges. And some colleges can give you more than others. It's important to identify which ones can provide more. So we talked about savings, we talked about loans, private scholarships. Let me ask you guys a question. What percent of the $245 billion, there's $245 billion out there, what of that aid that's available, what percent comes in private scholarships? Anybody have a guess? How much is in private scholarships?
More than 50%.
How much?
More than 50%.
More than 50%? Any other guesses? Is that about right? You were actually right. I heard you say it. 3%. 3. It's only 3. Most of us don't know that. In fact, I'll meet families who have been doing their best to prepare for college. They're checking out books from the library, they're going online, and they spend hour after hour researching scholarship after scholarship after scholarship. It's fine if we want to do that, but we got to know that we're working with a small statistic. Only 3% of the aid comes in those private scholarships. We always hear about them, don't we? That so-and-so got a full ride scholarship. Well, in all the time I've been doing this, I've never seen a full ride scholarship. Besides Allie. I was going to Notre Dame to play basketball, if you know Allie here in town. We just don't see that anymore. We don't see these full ride scholarships. We see part, half tuition, quarter. But just know that this isn't one of the areas you want to be spending all your time. FastWeb is a great resource. Have your student go on, fill out a profile. It'll help you identify scholarships, a couple hundred they can look at and start applying for. But that's not where you want to be spending the majority of your time. There's 3 areas I'm going to cover where you want to spend the majority of your time when you're doing this college funding process. Financial aid. How can we make sure we get the fair share of financial aid? Let's talk about myths or realities. Your income is too high. If your income is too high, if you make too much money, are you not going to qualify for aid? Maybe. It depends on what you make, right? Yeah, if your income's too high, you won't qualify for any financial aid. We see families, though, that make $150,000, $200,000 a year and still qualify for aid. It depends on where you're going, depends what school you're applying for, and it depends on your allowances. There's a lot of factors, and it can change every single year. So you always want to fill out the FAFSA. Fill it out every year and get what you can get. Grades are too low. If your student has poor grades, are they going to get financial aid? Grades do not affect financial aid at all. So they can be a poor student, they can still qualify for aid. The hard part is getting into college, right? Easy is typically not the first word that comes to mind when we're talking about the financial aid process. And if you're looking at a private school, we got to do the CSS profile. If you thought the FAFSA was hard, wait till you see that one. And there might even be a third form. I'll cover that here in a minute, though. School people can help. Have you gone to your school and talked to them? Our schools here in Columbus are great. You've got to take advantage of those counselors. If you can get in to see them, I know that they're busy. They're going to help you. They might help you find scholarships. They might help you identify a major. They might help you find the right fit. Just know that when it comes to funding college, that's where they're a little more hesitant to give advice, or maybe they're not even trained in how are you going to fund college in the best way possible. Will we qualify for aid? You never know unless you apply. Types of financial aid. If you've never heard of this before, you want to jot it down. There are different types of financial aid. And it's a little bit frustrating for us as we're getting ready to send kids to school that we haven't been more educated about what is financial aid exactly. Because the colleges and universities wrap up these packages for us and offer it to us, and we just kind of take it. We think that that's what we're supposed to do because the college and university is offering it to us. Right now, as a nation, we're 1.2 trillion in debt in student loans. It passed credit card debt recently. So the only thing beating it is mortgages. In fact, that's what a lot of the markets are concerned about right now, is all this student debt. Well, when it's awarded by the colleges, if we don't understand financial aid, we don't know what's a fair offer, if that's just what we're supposed to do, and that's what we've done for so long. Gift aid is free money. That's money we don't have to pay back. That comes in the form of grants, scholarships, out of trust funds. Colleges have these massive trust funds that they can award money out. I'm going to talk about how to take advantage of that. Self-help is you're going to have to give back. Might be in the form of student loans, parent loans. You've got to pay it back with interest. Parent Plus loans. There's all kinds of different loans, but that's all wrapped up in self-help aid. Work study. Work study is a great program if you can take advantage of it. They'll wrap work study into your financial aid package. Work study is when your student gets a job on campus and then whatever they earn gets directly deducted out of their tuition. Work study is a great program for a couple reasons. Number one, they can make as much money as they want and not get penalized for it. It gets directly deducted off tuition, so they're not going to go out and spend it. And a lot of these programs have one of two advantages. Number one, let's say your student gets a job in the English department answering phones. How many times is the phone going to ring in the English department on campus? They might have an opportunity to do homework while they're earning money. That might be a great reason. Another reason is, let's say they want to work in the accounting department or finance or business department. They can network with professors. Ultimately, college is about a transition from high school to a meaningful career that they're going to be good at, that they're going to enjoy doing, and they're going to make money with. Otherwise, why are we going through this process? So getting in a work-study program where we're connected and we can make connections, that can be critical as well. It's important to know that it's not guaranteed. They'll offer it to you, but your student still has to go on campus, apply for the job, and get the job. So you might not be something that's predictable in your financial aid. It's not guaranteed. Where's the best place for free money? Okay, this is the first area where you want to spend the majority of your time. Okay? Understanding colleges and universities. All the money goes to the colleges and universities. Some have more to give than others. This is what we've been doing for quite a while. And part of the reason why we partner with CPN, who's been doing this for 20 years, where we understand which colleges and universities give more free money. Who are their competitors? How do we do financial aid leveraging? How do we make sure that we're maximizing our aid at these colleges and universities? They have endowment funds. It's awarded on a first come, first served basis. In other words, when the money's gone, right? If they want your student to come there, we want to be first in line to get that aid to maximize how much aid we're going to get. I've seen families go through this process and do everything right. They're positioned well, they've got the right scores, the right coursework, the right curriculum, parents have built a plan, they just didn't go fast enough, and all the money was gone. And then they can't get awarded anything in the process. So make sure you understand that aid is awarded on a first come, first served basis. Here's a graduation ceremony where they're thanking everyone who contributed to make this possible. Are colleges for-profit or non-profit? Anybody know? That's kind of a trick question. They're both. It depends, right? It depends on which one we're looking at. Either way, they're still trying to get your students to come. They're still trying to be attractive. They're trying to have prestige. And they have limited resources to do it. So they're going to compete to have your student come. And I'll talk about that. How can we get more gift aid, less loans? We want to make sure that we're doing that. Everything starts with the FAFSA. Okay, this is where it all starts. Any type of aid, we've got to go through the FAFSA first. We've got to make sure that it goes in without errors. Okay, large percent going with errors and inconsistencies. The problem, if your FAFSA goes in with an error, it needs to be updated, corrected, fixed. How fast does the government turn things around? Not very fast. And if yours goes in with an error and it's got to be corrected, that's going to delay how quickly it's going to get to the schools. Well, in the meantime, what are they doing? They're giving out aid. Okay? So we want to make sure that you get this filled out correctly, on time, and we get submitted by a priority date, which I'll talk about. That way, we get the aid because it is awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. January 1st through March 10th, right now. If you have a senior right now, you need to be starting to do your FAFSA. Those are our dates in Indiana. We got to get it done by March 10th. This next piece of information is worth your time alone tonight. If you didn't know this, there's a priority filing date. It's February 15th. What I mean by the February 15th date is that's the first time that they will send your financial information to the colleges and universities. Most people don't get their FAFSA done by February 15th. Why not? Taxes aren't done yet, right? Even if, it needs a lot of tax information on your FAFSA, right? Even if you don't have your taxes done, you can do a preliminary FAFSA. Now, it'll get submitted, it'll go to the college and universities. They might even award you some money. They'll always say it's not official, we need your final tax information before this is official. But you can picture what's happening. They're allocating money towards you. They're highly unlikely to take that away after they've already accounted that money towards you. It doesn't matter if you fill out the FAFSA between January 1st and February 15th, it doesn't matter. Just by February 15th, you want to make sure that that is done correctly, because then we're in the 90th percentile, the top 10% of all students submitting their FAFSAs. So the statistics are on our side to qualify for more aid, especially if they want our student. CSS profile and financial aid. So this is beyond the FAFSA. If you're looking at a private school, you're going to have a second form you need to fill out every year. You're going to get used to these, aren't you? It's going to be fun. And you have to do it for every student every year going through school. The CSS profile is just much more detailed. Why do private schools have that? Because they have more money to give. They want to know more about you and then allocate that money. We've got to make sure they match up, that they're consistent, and that they don't go with any errors. This is one of the services that we provide for our clients, helping them, assisting them, even doing it for them if they want. School institutional forms. You might even have to fill out a third form. Depends on the school you're looking at. Some schools like to have their own forms. And why? Because they have massive funds of money that they can allocate how they want. All the money goes through the colleges and universities. That's the first area you want to be spending your time understanding how they award aid. Additional forms, if you own a business or a farm, there'll be supplement forms you're going to have to fill out. Divorced and separated agreements. There's all kinds of different scenarios with this. Let me give you one. Let's say that a student lives with biological mom and stepdad, and biological dad lives alone. Whose information is going to go on the FAFSA?
Whomever's claiming him that year.
Maybe whoever's claiming him? All three? Do we want to put all three on there?
No.
No, why not? We're overexposing assets that might not be available to pay for college, right? So we don't want to do that. Now, if student splits the time 50-50, we're probably going to have to put all three on there. But if they're living a majority of the time with one, that's who goes on there. There could be something in the divorce agreements, who's going to pay for college, how much. We just got to make sure that we understand how that's going to factor in, because that's going to determine how much we're going to have to pay when it comes time for college. This is the second area you want to be spending the majority of your time. Your expected family contribution. We call it EFC. Okay? Your EFC, when you fill out your FAFSA, and there's different types of calculators out there, you can go and kind of project it. But you want to make sure that EFC is as low as it possibly can be. And I'll show you why. But after you get your expected family contribution, your SAR report, student aid report, you receive that approximately 2 to 4 weeks after submitting your FAFSA. Each college listed on your FAFSA receives all the information listed on your FAFSA. And there's a lot of strategies with which schools, what order, how we put that on the FAFSA that we work with our clients. FAFSA must be completed every year for every child in college. So again, for a lot of you, this is going to be fun. We're going to get used to this as we're going through it. Calculating your EFC. How do they calculate this? Well, the first thing is they look at your total income. They see what are you making, how much do you have available to put towards college. Then they look at allowances. How much did you pay in taxes? What's your household size? Number of kids you have in college. Those are all allowances that you'll get throughout this process. You did it, didn't you? Your EFC calculation. Yeah, you can go online. And in fact, if you do it at several different locations, you'll get several different numbers.
Yeah.
Have anybody felt that and seen that? Everything is run through the colleges and universities, and you'll see a big wide spectrum for what they offer. There's net assets. This is all going to drive that EFC up. Cash, bank accounts, brokerage accounts, 529s, outside of real estate. if there's anything you can do to be best positioned, you want to make sure you're best positioned. Getting that EFC as low as you possibly can for these college years is critical in the college funding process, helping you qualify for maximum amount of aid. What if there's something you can do to lower your EFC? If there's something you can do, you want to do it. You want to make sure that you can maximize how much aid you get. We'll take a look at that for you in the free consultation. See if you're in a position to overpay. And if there is anything you can do, sometimes there's not. There's not a lot you can do. It just is the way it is. Sometimes there is. In fact, a client that I'm working with right now, I actually met with him this morning here in Columbus. He's here in Columbus. We are repositioning him. We're going to save him $5,000 to $6,000 per year just because of teaching him how to reposition himself. I couldn't believe it. Because it's just the way that he had been saving for college. And we just switch a few things up and save him a ton of money in this process. He's a junior right now, which is good. Students. How are students viewed in the FAFSA? Income, $4,500 per year is exempt from FAFSA. Okay? Anything over $4,500 is assessed at 50% on the EFC. How does this factor in? Well, let's say that your student wants to go get a summer job and makes, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000 selling security systems, or I don't know what else they can do, make a ton of money. What's going to happen to your cost of college next year? It's going to go up. We want to be aware of that. Okay? There's allowances, but any money that they're earning, that's going to be assessed on your respective family contribution. So we got to build a plan for how this is going to work. Savings, money that's in the student's name, is assessed at 20% on your EFC. That's important to know. If you've got money in their name, how's that going to be assessed? Let's talk a little bit about the process of getting financial aid. It all comes from the universities. It's awarded through the financial aid office. And so we want to make sure we know which schools offer the most money, and we want to make sure that most free money is critical there. They're all going to offer you loans. We want to make sure we get the most free money in the process. And it all comes through the financial aid office. Well, if you're a senior right now, you're just now filling out your FAFSA, right? You're going to get your STAR report. They're going to start making you offers. You'll probably pick your college April, May, June if you haven't picked it already. But you'll really get a feeling for what you're going to pay. What happens if your student's not going until when? August, September? What happens if you lose a job in July? Anything that might happen, severe reduction in income, any change in the college student's household, medical bills, private tuition, large educational expenses, anything significant changes in your situation while you're going to college, you've got to contact that office right away. Let them know what's happened. Always tell them. If something's changed in your situation, it's not an accurate picture of what you're going to be able to pay, we got to let them know right away so we can get that, so we can work on that with the school. Where are we headed and why are we headed there? We do a lot of student coaching. Getting your kids on board is one of the most critical pieces in this process, by the way. We got to make sure they're on board with this because they're going to feel some independence when they go, and we got to make sure they understand the sacrifices we're making. But anyway, where are they going and why? I talked to a young man here in Columbus, and he has a girlfriend. So he thinks he knows where he wants to go, and which might be the best school for him. Either way, we just got to know why we're going there, what's it going to offer us, what's the outcome we hope to have when we're done. How do I find the best college for my student and still pay the least amount for it? Here is the formula, the need-based formula. How do you qualify for need? You take your cost of attendance. Remember, cost of attendance is tuition, books, room and board, fees. That's what the colleges and universities themselves say it's going to cost for 1 year of school. You subtract your expected family contribution based on your family's financial and household information. That qualifies you for need. Okay? The difference between those. The schools are the one that determine what type of aid they're going to award you. Is it going to be gift aid or is it going to be self-help? Here's the actual client. 2 children. They have $62,000 income, 3.4 GPA, 24 on the ACT. Okay? They applied to a private school. It cost $32,000 a year. They filled out their FAFSA. Their expected family contribution was $10,000. So you subtract it, and they have a need of $22,000. See how we subtract that? Okay. Public school, cost is less, right? $20,000. Expected family contribution is $10,000. That's a universal number. Okay, doesn't matter where you apply. And then you subtract, and you get $10,000 left over with need. So the public school costs less, right? Well, let's see what happens. They come back with an offer. Private school says, okay, we'll meet 100% of your need. We're going to give you 80% gift aid, 20% self-help. Public school comes back and says, we'll meet 60% of the need, 10% gift aid, 90% self-help. So you should already be thinking, oh, some alarm bells are going off. Okay? When you factor in the self-help and loans and work and earning it, okay, this private school came down to about $14,000 per year, whereas the public school would have cost $19,400 per year. Isn't that amazing? Most of us don't take the time to apply at these private schools because we don't know that they're going to bring the cost down for us if they want our student to come. So what it ended up doing is saving this family $5,400 per year just by taking the time to understand the colleges and how they work and which ones to apply for, how they were a good fit for that student. Ended up saving them $21,600 over that 4-year period just by taking the time to understand colleges and universities. Your financial aid award letter. That's the first time that you find out what type and how much aid they're going to offer you. In fact, right now, a lot of you probably already been through this. Fall of your senior year. That is when you're starting to apply at schools, right? Do some college visits, you're filling out applications, and you might have even gotten an acceptance letter. They might have even thrown some money your way and said, hey, let's get you locked in here. That can be good, that can be bad, just depends on your strategy. But you're probably excited for your kids, but you don't know what yet. You're probably nervous a little bit because you don't know what. You don't know how much it's going to cost you. And you're wondering, how much is this going to cost me? You can't even find out until you get your financial aid award letter. You can't even fill out or find out how much you're going to get until spring of your senior year, after you filled out the FAFSA, after you've gotten your SAR report, and so on. Isn't that backwards? They're wanting you to accept, they're wanting you to come, they're wanting you to commit, but you don't even know how much you're going to pay. You don't even know what type of aid they're going to offer you. It's a little bit frustrating. So we have to be prepared. We have to understand how that it's going to happen that way so that we can build a plan for it. What if we don't get any? What can you negotiate with the financial aid offices? Maybe. It depends on the school. It depends on your position of strength. It depends on a lot of factors. But we do that for some families where we have an appeals process. And we actually turn financial aid leveraging on them because there's financial aid leveraging. I'll talk about that too, what the schools do. Let's look at that. Let's look at the award letter from one of our clients. Hearing this. It's in your handouts. It says RIT on the front, Rochester Institute of Technology. And on the back it says Vanderbilt. I'm not going to go into details, but you can read this over later. These are photocopies of actual award letters that a client of ours has received. Okay, RIT, what it came down to is they were awarded, they were given an offer by RIT. We felt like they were under-awarded, so we appealed it. And then the second letter came back, so before and after. What it came down to is $3,000 in spring, $3,000 in fall, $3,000 in winter. $9,000 increase per year in grant money. Grant money is money you don't have to pay back. So that was a really good turnaround. Okay? On the back side is Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt made a mistake when they awarded this family. Okay? Vanderbilt's a nice college, a nice university. And they were awarded. It had to have made a mistake because it was so far off. We appealed it, and they came back and said, whoops, here's the real award. An extra $22,878 per year. Vanderbilt's pretty expensive. But this was need-based money. This family qualified for need. And for whatever reason, Vanderbilt didn't get it right the first time. And so we appealed it, got it corrected. What if they didn't know that? What's a fair award? That's one of the things we provide, is kind of that oversight. Are you getting a fair award or not? What are the trends of the universities? What can you expect to receive based on where your student's at? To make sure that you're not overpaying for college. We don't want to overpay for it and pay too much. Typical timeline. Okay? And I kind of touched on the third area that you want to be spending your time, but I'm going to recap it. So the 3 years you want to be spending the majority of your time is first, with colleges and universities, understanding which ones give the most free money, the most gift aid. Number 2 is making sure your EFC is as low as it possibly can be. And number 3 is understanding these timelines and building a plan to pay for college. No matter what happens, no matter if we get a lot of awards or none or however it comes out, we've got to be prepared to pay what we're going to have to pay. So building a plan for how you're going to pay for college in the best way possible is the third area you want to be spending the majority of your time. Typical timeline, freshman, sophomore, junior year, that's your pre-college curriculum. We got to make sure we're taking the right classes. Hopefully, if we can, we've taken some AP classes. That's free college credit. Make sure we're getting the right SAT and ACT scores. We're taking them the right number of times. Make sure we're applying with the right colleges. Identifying a good major. And it's not the worst thing in the world if a student switches majors while they're going to school. That can be a great thing, because we want them to get in the right career when they're done. But if we do a 180, what's going to happen to all those credits? We might have spent a lot of money. It was a very expensive learning process to decide what we want to do. So make sure that we're doing all our pre-college curriculum. Campus visits, ACT, SAT testing, a big part of what we do is SAT and ACT prep. It's a critical piece to this college funding process. August of your senior year, that's when you start applying for colleges. Okay? Acceptance, every college is a little bit different, how they want you to accept. Be careful with the non-refundable deposits, sometimes you'll see those. Once acceptance and a non-refundable deposit, reserve your spot. January of your senior year, that's where we are right now. It's time to get that fast enough. Make sure that we get it done accurately and on time and early. February of your senior year, that's when you get your STAR report. It comes after your EFC. March, April of your senior year, that's when you finally get your award letters. It's finally when they come. Part of the problem that we've struggled with as a nation is that the process is backwards. We don't know how much we're going to pay before we have to go. And this is kind of driven part of the statistic. What happens if you can't afford it? What happens if you get a couple years in and you can't afford it? What happens if you get a couple years in, second child joins the first child, and all of a sudden we can't qualify for any more loans? Well, then, what's going to happen? Our students are going to end up dropping out of school, and they don't even have a degree, and we're still stuck with the loans. Building a plan for how you're going to pay for this is critical. 39% of college students drop out after their sophomore year. Why? Mom and dad are broke. The college kids can't even fund it themselves. They can't even qualify for enough loans to cover the costs anymore. And if they can't get the money from somewhere else, mom and dad have to help out. Well, mom and dad might have several kids. When the first child joins the second child, if we're not planning and preparing for that, 39% are dropping out. We got to make sure we're not part of that statistic, that we have a plan for how we're going to pay for this. 3 different types of people going through this process, and you might identify with one of them. Category 1 families. Category 1 families are those who will get financial aid no matter where they go to school. They're going to qualify for financial aid. If you feel like you're Category 1, the most important thing you need to focus on is finding the right school that's going to maximize your aid. You can qualify for all the aid in the world, but it could all be loans, is what they offer you. Because it all goes through the colleges and universities. We got to make sure we focus on the schools that give more free aid, more gift aid. Families with partial financial aid, Category 2. This is the majority of families we see, where it might depend. You might get a lot of aid, you might get none. It just depends on how you're positioned before you fill out that FAFSA. And so some families might be paying a lot, some families might be paying a little. It just depends. Category 2 families, there might be some strategies you can take advantage of so you don't overpay. Because some of those assets might not realistically be available to pay for college. We want to make sure we don't overexpose them. Category 3 families. We work with a lot of Category 3 families. No matter how we look at it, they're just not going to qualify for aid. Even though they may not qualify for aid, they still have to go through the same processes to get the need-based aid does, to get the merit-based aid. There's a lot of tax strategies that they can also take advantage of, funding strategies so that they're doing it in the best way possible. So we work with a lot of Category 3 families as well. What's the best way to go through this college funding process? Well, there's a lot of best ways. Probably depends on what your family wants and needs. Do it yourself. If you do it yourself, it's probably going to take a lot of time, but dig in, really study, make sure you learn all the processes. I would encourage you to talk to someone who's trained in the college funding process. That's part of the reason why we like to offer that free consultation. There's no fee for it, because we want to make sure that we can give you the best advice possible. Your accountant, if you use an accountant, let them know that you are preparing to send your kids to college. Okay, they might understand Some of the parts of it, they're typically trained in tax, how to maximize your tax benefits and tax credits. Our accountant here in town, he laughed when we were working with him because he said, man, I wish you guys were here when I put my kids through 10 years ago. His second child graduated 10 years ago. He's still paying on those student loans. Your high school guidance counselor, make sure you take advantage of what they can teach you, okay? Our schools here are great. I've been all around Indianapolis, guys. Our schools here are phenomenal, and I've worked inside them. So take advantage of the resources that they have. Know that when it comes to funding, that's where they're a little more hesitant to really advise you, given the financials of the family, and might not even be trained for how to do it in the best way possible. College admissions or financial aid departments. Okay. A lot of families are thinking, I know where I want to go. I'm going to go to the financial aid department. I'm going to give my financials and say, hey, what can you give me? What can I get by way of aid? Let me ask you this. Do any of you go to the IRS and say, here's my tax information, what do I owe you this year? You can do that if you want. Most people don't. Why not? You don't want to overpay, right? You want to take advantage of every tax credit. Now, some colleges are for-profit, some are not, okay? Either way, they have limited funds. They have limited money to offer you, and a lot of them engage in financial aid leveraging. Financial aid leveraging is the process where they're going to offer you the least amount of money and still get your student to come. That's what they want to do. So be aware of that. Now, if anything goes wrong once you're already accepted, you got to let them know. A severe loss of income, something like that, we got to let them know how this process works. What we want to do is make sure that we're turning that backwards on them and helping ourselves be competitive so that they offer us more money to go there. If you do choose to speak to someone, make sure they know what they'll do for you. These are some of the things that we do. Income and asset planning, making sure that we're funding college in the best way possible without damaging our other financial goals or damaging the other kids that are coming up behind them. Pick the best schools for you. Whatever school is the best for you, we want to make sure that you get to that school. Fill out the forms. The forms are critical. We got to do them right, we got to do them on time. Some families are scared by those, which is fine. That's something that we can assist with, that we offer. Negotiate with schools. It depends on the school, depends on your position of strength. Guarantees. Everything we do is we want to guarantee our clients that you're going to save far more than you pay us ever in fees through cost avoidance or return on your investment, whatever the case is. There's a lot of families that we recognize we can't help, and we're one of the first ones to acknowledge that. You're pretty well positioned how it is. When should you start planning? When should you start planning? When you found you're expecting? And maybe some of you have. Make sure you're not overpaying for college because you have prepared, especially if you've been saving for a while. We know we can't help everyone, and we want to help all those that want our help. Here's a list of some of the services we provide. We make sure you do all the right things at the right times. The earliest we take on students is as a freshman. We love to get freshmen. Most parents, though, our average age is a junior that we see sign up. Most of them don't sign up quite as early because, college is still 4 years out, we got this. But we would love to work with freshmen. Freshmen and sophomores are great. We can position them so well so they can qualify for a ton of aid when it comes time. But we work with freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. If you have a senior, we have a late-stage senior program where there's several critical things we can do just to make sure that senior is best prepared, both on the funding side, the college preparation side, and on the student coaching side. Help bridge the gap between high school and a meaningful, passionate career. Prepare SAT, ACT testing, student coaching. That's one of my favorite aspects. I love working with kids, and student coaching is a critical piece. We've got to get your kids on board, help educate them, help them understand the sacrifices mom and dad are about to make for them. And it's amazing to see them step up. Help you complete the forms, make sure you've not done something that hurts your child's chances, build action plans, evaluate, negotiate. Sometimes you can do that. Grants, scholarships, awards. Make sure that we're getting the right award. Build and recommend the best way for you to pay for college. A critical piece of what we do is, how is this going to look long term? If mom and dad are planning on fronting these bills, we got to make sure you're not destroying your retirement or the other kids' college education coming behind you. If loans are a part of that, we got to understand how that's going to work so that we don't just keep taking loan after loan after loan, and all of a sudden we can't even qualify for more loans. And then we're paying on those. So building a plan for how you do this in the best way possible. We try to deliver peace of mind to the families that we work with. Okay, if you're interested in a free consultation, it's kind of a self-sign-up process. We blocked off a few days and times over here. You can just go sign up over there. If you want to do a free consultation, we ask you to do these things. We want both parents there. If divorced, whoever's planning on paying for college can come. I've done some free consultations where we brought families back together. It was interesting, but we've done that, and that's okay. If now's the time to do it. We don't want to delay. So whoever's planning on paying for college, if it's separated, that's okay. We want them all there at the free consultation so we can understand how to move forward in the best way possible. We want to get it within the next 2 weeks. Most of these dates I think are next week that we've blocked off for you. And pretty much 9 to 5 are our hours. We went ahead and set aside an evening slot for you. So if you have to have evenings, we have that available too. We do all of our free consultations at the Chamber of Commerce right by the library. We use an office space inside there. It's a great location where we can visit with you. We limit it to about an hour. If you have some more questions, we're happy to stay there a little bit longer with you though. Really, one of 3 things is going to happen. I mentioned this at the beginning. If you're just interested in getting free information, we're happy to take an hour with you. And that's okay. We're happy to do that because we want to make sure you're best positioned and we want you to tell your friends about us, that we're here, that we're available, okay? The second thing is, if you want to take on part of our services, we have packages that just have part of our services. If you have a senior, you're not going to get the whole package anyway because it's too late. We got a senior package for you where there's certain things that we can do at late stage, okay? And then if you have younger kids, we have an entire comprehensive package. Really, we try to provide a turnkey solution where we take care of everything so you're best positioned for college when the time comes. Guys, make sure you're building a plan. This is an exciting time. It should be exciting. It's scary too, and I know it's scary, but it's an exciting time. Build a plan. Take the time to build a plan. A fool with a plan is better than a genius with none. I've never seen a family go through this process without a plan and somehow come out better on the other side than someone who builds a plan. So taking the time to really build this plan is definitely worth your time. So I hope you got a lot of good information. I really appreciate you guys being here tonight, and I'll be here to answer your questions. All right, thanks guys.
Thanks a lot.